Hi, welcome back to Real Auto Reports here at Real Auto Ranch. Today we have a real first impressions video edition for you on this all-new redesigned 2013 Hyundai Genesis Coupe. And this is pretty special because it is the Track Edition. And we'll tell you what that means coming up next. All right, so from the front, the first thing you're going to notice walking up to the 2013 Hyundai Genesis Coupe is that it is new, it is wider, more aggressive. You've got these neat hood vent, they're fake, I won't lie, but they're neat. They give the car some personality. If you didn't have black, they'd really stand out in the hood, especially in a white, a bright red, a deep blue. You've got redesigned fog light housings, and notice we have the optional daytime running lights on this model. That all comes together to give this car a nice aggressive appearance from the front. Now, one thing that you may or may not like over time, and it doesn't stand out as much on this black car, is this solid plastic front fascia bumper piece they put in here in the grille. If they hadn't done that, if they'd made it gloss or they'd done some other treatment there, it would give this car a much higher end appeal than I think this new design element really does. But for $34,000, you really can't go wrong with this car, and you could probably do something to change that out aftermarket. So let's go take a look at the side. All right, so from the side, what you're going to notice is the optional 19-inch wheels here. These are new for 2013. Also, notice this Z pattern design in the car. That is intentional by Hyundai and new for 2013 as well. Gives it a nice sporty appearance, and you'll see that Z design here in the belt line if you follow the curves coming off the front fender, zipping back and through the door handle here. It's a very nice redesign, and I think gives this car an aggressive, sporty appeal that people are looking for. Coupes are still super in demand, even though they're not as practical as a four-door. And if you can live with what is effectively a two-seater, or even with the back seat, I think from the side they have really given this Genesis Coupe for 2013 a great winning appearance that'll compete with things like your Nissan 370Z, and that's pretty impressive. It'll also compete with the Scion FRS and the Subaru BRZ, which, as you probably know from our reports, are pretty much the same car. So from the side, also take note of the Brembo brakes that you can see in the wheels and the turn signal indicators. All great features on this 2013 Genesis Coupe. We'll take a look at the back. All right, so from the back, what you're going to notice here are redesigned LED integrated taillights, a great feature for 2013. Also notice your dual exhaust, your rear spoiler with your large third brake light so people can see that you're stopping. All nice touches on this Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Of course, you have your Coupe badging, and we have the optional 3.8 liter V6, and so you get your 3.8 badging. Understated, but lets people know you're driving the 348 horsepower Performance Edition, and we'll take a look under the hood next and give you a real sense there. The one thing I think this car is missing, and at least I just haven't found it, maybe it's under here. No, it doesn't seem to be. I can't open the trunk easily, that I've found anyway, without having the key on me. And that's a bit of a nit, because when your hands are full, you kind of want somebody to be able to pop it for you. But you can pop it from the key and from the driver's door inside. Let's take a look inside, and then we'll go under the hood. All right, so from the driver's seat, this is a coupe indeed. But one of the things I really like about it from a first impressions is you don't have to climb over this rail. It's actually pretty easy to get in and out of for taller people and shorter people. It's not like a Corvette where you have a much wider lip rail that you have to kind of stick your leg out and over. Notice you do have power windows. They're auto on both sides, power mirrors, power door locks, all right there on the slope of the door, easy to reach. You've got your trunk release and gas release here, power seats with a lumbar, which is nice. What's interesting is that the back of the seat is actually manual. And You know, the Genesis is kind of in this interesting spot where it's trying to be luxurious and performance, but it's missing a couple key ingredients like memory seats and, you know, some other bits and pieces for some people. But I personally, from a first impressions, really like what this car's come equipped with. It does have heated seats. It's got the leather option. They're well bolstered. They hold you in there. At least that's what I felt when I first jumped into it. You also have great steering wheel controls like volume and voice activation for your Bluetooth and your system. It's got navigation. And one of the oddest things I noticed just after getting in the car is it has a torque gauge to tell you how much torque you're putting to the road. That's kind of interesting, and a first for this automotive enthusiast. So let's take a quick look under the hood and show you what really makes this Genesis. All right, so under the hood you have a direct injected 3.8 liter V6 engine. That direct injection actually adds about 14% or so more horsepower than the previous generation, giving you 348 horsepower under the hood. And that'll propel you pretty much 0 to 60 in the low 5-second range, depending on whether you have automatic, manual, you're up at a mile high, or all of those things. But we're just saying it is quick, it's fun to drive. This vehicle here that we're testing has the 6-speed manual transmission, and it does indeed shift well. We'll talk more about that in our real first impressions when we get out on the road. But I have to tell you that for $34,000 with 348 horsepower, this Genesis is getting hard to beat out on the market. The competition better watch out because this is coming up right in their rearview mirror. Let's take a look at how this car drives when we hit the road.
Driving the 2013 Hyundai Genesis Coupe, well, that is a pretty interesting experience, especially in this track edition. Of course, you have your 6-speed manual, you have your metal pedals, and your great steering from this coupe sports car. Well, from a first impressions anyway, it is pretty impressive coming from the Hyundai brand. And it's a very different experience from the Genesis sedan. And that probably is a bit confusing to a lot of consumers. This coupe is more like, say, the Infiniti G37 coupe. And that's very different from the G37 Infiniti sedan. Likewise, it's going to be more like your Nissan 370Z and less like your Toyota FRS, well, actually Scion FRS if I'm being exact, but especially for the US market. But I guess what I'm getting at here is that from a first impressions, the start button, the sound of the Genesis Coupe with the track package, the steering, the suspension, and the shift and the clutch feel all give you a pretty pleasant experience right out of the gate. Now, driving it for a while, well, we'll have that update for you in our real video, the real review. But what you need to know from a first impressions is that you'll be pretty impressed by the power, the feel, and the handling of this Genesis Coupe right away. But we think we need to drive it some more. We'll have the real wrap-up coming up next.
All right, so that is the real first impressions video edition on this 2013 Hyundai Genesis Coupe. This is the track edition. It is about $34,000 as tested, and yes, that does include delivery, but you know that price may vary around your area. We are pretty impressed by this redesigned Hyundai Genesis Coupe. It has a nice aggressive look in the front, these neat insets, although I wish they were real. They do just give this car a very performance-oriented look. I like the way it drives, and with the track suspension, it's really the best of both worlds, at least from a first impressions. We're going to go more in depth on this car in our real video, the real review, so make sure you come back and check that out coming up real soon. I'm Jonathan McGrew. This is Real Auto Reports from Real Auto Ranch. We'll see you down the road.